Hypoglycemia in bodybuilders. Now this is a problem that we very seldom hear about, I think simply because nobody talks about it, but it's widespread. And there's a number of reasons why this occurs in bodybuilders. Firstly, you've got to realize that with the muscle mass that we carry, our bodies are trying to soak up carbohydrates. Our muscle cells are constantly asking for that muscle sugar, that blood sugar, and we have to therefore consume a proper number of carbohydrates to feed those muscles. And if we don't, we're going to get that low blood sugar. It's almost like carrying another person around. Now there's another reason in some people why they might have hypoglycemia as bodybuilders. Now I spent a lot of time on researching creatine monohydrate, and I found that it can be one of the culprits of causing hypoglycemia simply because it requires such a large amount of carbohydrates to shuttle the creatine to the muscle cells. Now, we all would agree that when we supplement creatine monohydrate, the effective dose is, and always has been, 10 grams a day. Now, to shuttle 1 gram of creatine monohydrate to the muscle cells requires 20 grams of carbohydrates. So at 10 grams a day of creatine monohydrate, our bodies are going to require 200 grams of carbohydrates to move that creatine into the muscle cells, let alone the carbohydrates that we're going to need for a workout or just to fuel our bodies through a normal day of activities. Just to give you an idea of how much you should be eating as far as carbohydrates as a bodybuilder, the rule of thumb is usually 1.6 grams of carbs per pound of body weight. So if I'm 195 pounds and I multiply that by 1.6, I get 312 grams of carbohydrates per day. Now, if I add to that 200 grams of carbohydrates because I'm supplementing with the creatine monohydrate, I'm at 512 grams of carbohydrates per day. Now, if I take 512 times 4, which is the number of calories that are in a gram of carbohydrates, we're over 2,000 calories a day without any fat or protein right there. So you can start to see how, when I talk about the multi-carbohydrate leverage loading diet, why you need 4,000 plus calories a day to grow. And but I think as bodybuilders we tend to cut our calories too low, or at least traditionally, historically we have. I think people are coming around now and learning different. But there's one more point I want to make, and that's how to avoid this hypoglycemia that's being caused by the requirements of our muscles for carbohydrates and the fact that we might be supplementing with creatine monohydrate. Now, as you can imagine, the typical answer you get from an MD is, well, you're going to be 60 years old in January, you don't need to do this anymore, and you're having trouble with hypoglycemia, so just quit. Well, he doesn't understand the champion mentality. After 35 years, it's a lifestyle, you're not going to quit. You're trying, as we always do when we have a problem, to seek out a solution, and that's what I've done in this case. Now, in my research, I've discovered that if you supplement with niacin, you can control the hypoglycemia because the niacin is going to make sure that your bloodstream is saturated with glucose constantly. And I've started on this this niacin supplementation, and so far it's worked, but it's not been very long. It's only been a few days. So I mean, I was having hypoglycemic episodes as many as 3 in one day, and they were severe. So far it's worked, and we're going to keep an eye on it, and hopefully report back to you in the future with positive results. But I just felt that this needed to be brought out in the open, and if anybody's got any experience with this, please send me an email on YouTube, and we'll talk about it.